are back from Monday. Good morning, Wareham. It is Wednesday, December 18th. We have a great show here for you, the news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. This morning, the love for learning and its journey. We'll be speaking with Tim Hudiensi, a Wareham resident whose love for learning opened unexpected doors. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay tuned because the news headlines and the weather report are next. Well, Wareham Carver boys hockey team won the first game of the season on Saturday, trouncing Upper Cape with a final score of 10-4. The Vikings' next game will be a home game against Dennis Yarmouth at the Gallo Arena in Bourne at 6:30 p.m. on December 18th, which is today. Which will also be a third annual Ugly Sweater Night. So make sure you wear your ugly sweater. There will also be a prize for the best sweaters. So that's just more incentive for you to dress ugly during tonight's game. The team will also be collecting donations for care packages for soldiers. Items such as high quality socks and toiletries are much appreciated. And we're going to move on to another news highlighting our own town administrator, Derek Sullivan, who was named a hero for health by South Coast Health at the nonprofit South Coast Health annual meeting. President and CEO Keith Hoven said that Sullivan has shown tremendous foresight for the future of healthcare in Wareham and the surrounding region. New Bedford Mayor John Mitchell was also named a hero for health. Maybe we'll get Derek Sullivan here in the studio one of these days to come and explain what this award actually means, hero for health, what it actually means. And Wareham firefighters, Local 2810, hosted a food drive in front of Shaw's Supermarket on Sunday to benefit the Turning Point Holiday Outreach Program. Turning Point, an all-volunteer social service agency, provides assistance to the homeless and those at risk of becoming homeless in Wareham through a variety of programs, including food, clothing, toys, and travel support. Turning Point can also help organize finances and household budgets. And Wareham Deca is looking for vendors for its 6th annual Home and Living Show, which will be held on Saturday, March 21st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Wareham High School, 7 Viking Drive. For more information or you'd like to sign up as a vendor, please reach the Wareham Deca team. And the town of Wareham is hiring sand and snow removal contractors for this winter. If you would like to apply, please pick up an application from the Municipal Maintenance Department at 95 Charge Pond Road. Also, learn about the risk of coastal flooding at 6 p.m. tomorrow, December 19th. In Town Hall Auditorium, the results of a study of the vulnerability of different town properties paid for by a municipality vulnerability action grant from the state will be presented. Wareham is especially vulnerable to coastal flooding. Also, wicked local reports. Upper Cape Technical Vocational School students suffered life-threatening injuries in a crash in icy road conditions yesterday morning on Route 28 North. WCVB reported that the two victims, a driver and a passenger, 17 years old and 14 years old, are brothers. Bourne police said that the crash occurred around 7:19 a.m. on MacArthur Boulevard, Route 28 north of Barlow's Landing Road. The crash involved a Toyota Tacoma that had slid off roadway into a tree. Both students were transported to Hasbro Children's Hospital in Rhode Island with life-threatening injuries. The crash still remains under investigation. And that concludes this morning news report. Now we are going to take a look at our weather forecast. Okay, what can I say rather than it is cold out there and apparently snow is on its way. We're not talking about a lot of snow, talking about shoveling, plowing streets, none of that, but definitely we have to ice those roads. So today, partly cloudy skies, we're looking at 37 for a high, not much of a high really. A few clouds tonight with low around 13 degrees. Talking about close your windows tonight. That's me. Memo to myself. Winds could occasionally gust over 40 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny, much colder, 24 degrees, as if it's not cold at 37. Winds, we're talking about 15 to 25 miles per hour, not as much as tonight. Mostly clear sky at night, low at 13 degrees, and winds will remain steady 10 to 15 miles per hour. And that is this morning and tomorrow's weather forecast. So let's dive into our first featured program of the day. And I had a great time visiting ECHO, that is Elizabeth and Company Home Offerings, located where it used to be the old Tremont nail store. So ECHO last Saturday had an open house, Saturday and Sunday. And also you got to meet some of their local artists who are making things for the store. So I had a great time meeting 3 of those artists to talk about what they do and why they do it. Take a look. Elizabeth and Company Home Offerings, also known as ECHO, is home to over 100 local artists. The shop features locally sourced, revitalized furniture, art, natural products, and gifts. Lots and lots of them. Here are some of the artists that you may be buying from.
They're all created with a seashell base.
They're gorgeous. So tell us how you got started. What inspired you to start working with seashells?
Regina Scotland, a really close friend of mine that passed, and she saw my artistic talent, and she was an artist herself. And she inspired me. She saw my artistic talent.
Where do you get your ideas? Do people request something?
No, first I started off with the most common pets, which are cats and dogs. And I made quite a few. I've tried to make almost everything I can think of so far. I've made donkeys for Peaceful Pony. I've made elephants, dogs.
Very good. So what is next for you? What are your visions telling you? Disney. What about Disney? What you telling me? Disney. You want to make Disney characters?
I think they already pretty much are.
Okay.
And all they need to do is run, dance, and sing and play.
I've been knitting since college, and I'm somebody who has to be productive all the time, so it's not enough to have 2 businesses when I'm at night, home at night watching TV, Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
I have to keep busy. So I'm knitting away, and there's only so many hats I can knit and sweaters for my grandkids, so I said, I might as well just start knitting stuff for the store.
Beautiful. Now, do you also take in requests for those who are listening and watching you and they have an idea? Do you take in requests?
I could do that. Yes, absolutely.
So how do you describe what you do? Is there even a name to it?
Well, the name I sell my items under is Sea Whisper.
Okay. What does that mean?
The name came about as a result of a statue that I saw. And considering the area, it just appealed to me, and I use it to identify the things that I make.
And what are the things that you make?
I make varied things. I'm not committed to anything. The one thing I'm committed to here is everybody seems to like my little holiday pins. Uh, the one that was most popular this year, I think, was the bat. I made a Halloween bat.
Yes.
And I just kept making them and making them and making them. I had lampshades that I tore apart and I used them as the frame for my wing chimes. I had silverware, so I made them the chimes for it, used the beads.
And so you do, and your things are all gorgeous. They're whimsical too. I mean, it's like,
Thank you.
what was the idea behind this?
You just see the materials and say, what can I make with this? And I think the prices are very reasonable so that you're not spending a fortune and worrying about, oh, is the weather going to destroy it, and that sort of thing. So I try to keep it pretty practical.
At Echo, there is something for everyone. From jewelry, wood carving, aromatherapy, handmade arrangements to classes for those who would like to do it themselves. Well, welcome back. And now we are going to take a look at other featured programs that we have. Faced with the need and the passion to give back, a brother and sister merged their talents and took action. They founded Finding You Sanctuary, a nonprofit rescuing dogs to help support veterans living with post-traumatic stress.
The first thing I do is I help people connect with their dogs, and the dogs connect with their people. And once that they've done that, then I show them how to read their emotional state of mind, and how that, once that happens, you can change what you do, because change is inevitable to change what we don't like to see. So after that, then we have the connection to our soul, which is what we all want, to feel at peace, to have joy again.
With decades of experience as a dog behavior specialist, Lean has a unique method of working with misunderstood dogs. Through her success-proven method, a veteran with PTS can find common ground with a rescued dog.
Yes, I work with the dogs that are so misunderstood, and aggression is the biggest one. But dogs have a big reason for being aggressive. It's what we show them the way. And dogs follow as a pack member does. So the leader, which is usually the human, hopefully, when we have issues or things don't work out right, the way we treat them, nice, good, indifferent, dogs follow us and they learn from us. The biggest need that I found was that veterans with PTSD, their biggest issue is the trust and respect. They need us to respect them so that they can learn to trust and be with us. And their healing, I know, will begin if they can be with dogs that are almost like them. And that's how you pair them. Dogs will choose most of their owners if we allow that. And the ones that choose us, usually the ones that make us work the hardest to be with them because of their behavior. And aggression, fear, insecurities, it's a very big deal with both misunderstood dogs and veterans.
Finding You Sanctuary has two main objectives: reducing the rate of canine euthanasia and improve the coping skills of veterans within their new reality.
So in Massachusetts alone, there are 80,000 diagnosed cases of PTSD. There's several different types of emotional wounds or inner wounds. And then there's TBI, which is traumatic brain injury. And then there's MST, which is military sexual trauma, which most of us would be surprised to hear that 50% of those reported cases are actually male. So there's a lot of issues out there, and what Lynn is able to do, helping people and dogs have a deep connection, and then the dog mirrors the emotional state of the person.
The one thing I do see is that what animals are so capable of, and that's letting everything go, being in the moment. What I see with veterans is how amazingly strong they are, how amazingly giving they are, how they have probably the best understanding of camaraderie, how to work together, how to be in the community. They are amazing as far as giving. And for me, I don't know, I've just seen that Veterans with PTS is the biggest thing for me to watch is to help them, help themselves by using animals. It's just my biggest thing that's what I see.
Once funding is established, the barn will be transformed into a space that will foster the program in addition to housing rescue dogs.
And we have a multifold mission. One is if you care about dogs and wish to rescue
Help
them.
to work with that,
The other one is if you care about veterans and wish to give back to them, serve those who have served us. We also plan on eventually expanding into first responders and so on. And then there's those who believe that there's a connection that needs to be made with the community at large, because it's not just the veteran, it's also their family and friends, and all the people around them are affected by what they've done while they're in service and
when
after
they come
that
back.
point.
Yeah.
So there's three right there. And then the other one is just an overall connection, person to person, animal or person to nature, and the dog is that connection and the way through to that. And that's what Lynn is special about, helping people find that connection.
For more information about Finding You Sanctuary, please visit them online to find out how you can help veterans earn peace at home.
So you probably have heard of this before. Finish up your food. Don't you know that there are starving children in Africa? The truth is, we do not have to think about the starving children in African countries in order to understand that food wasting, not only is it wrong, it is immoral. Here's the blunt fact. Americans waste an unfathomable amount of food yearly, and yet over 40 million of our residents are food insecure. Now, how can this be? Is food donation legal? The Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act of 1996, signed to law by former President Bill Clinton, was created to encourage food donation to nonprofit organizations by minimizing liability.
And what it does is it serves as an umbrella law so that all states can be protected against criminal and civil liability when donating apparently wholesome food in good faith. And the reason why we like to stress apparently wholesome and in good faith is because those words are actually quoted in the law. And apparently wholesome really means if I would eat it, if I would serve it to a loved one, it is donatable. If I am donating it in good faith without any malicious intent, it is donatable under the Emerson Act.
It's not like the food industries in America are trigger happy when it comes to wasting food. Oftentimes, these places wish to donate but find themselves battling another obstacle, and that is distribution. And this is where a nonprofit rescuing leftover cuisine comes in the picture.
Or what we found happening over a long period of time was a lot of the venues and caterers were unable to donate the food because the nonprofit organizations weren't able to get an actual driver over there to pick it up. Very often, if you take some of the wonderful organizations that we have locally, like Boston Rescue Mission, Father Bill's, St. Francis House, you know, they do need this food, but they can't always get a driver to physically pick up the food.
Rescuing leftover cuisine is like an Uber or the Lyft of food rescuing services, and it is highly dependent on volunteers, transporting food where it is to where food is needed. So how does it work?
We like to say that rescuing leftover cuisine bridges the gap between the prepared surplus food from restaurants, hotels, events, and those who need it at shelters, soup kitchens, etc., anywhere, any organization that is able to serve this nutritious food to those in need.
The organization carries two different types of operations, the emergency food pickups and the regular food pickups. Lauren is in charge of the Massachusetts regular food pickups, which volunteers can sign up using the online calendar.
To see the calendar, you just want to go out to volunteer, scroll down to event calendar right there, click on that, and my default came up as Massachusetts, but you can also change the default region right over here. And we have a number of different cities that are operating right now with RLC. And so this is a calendar right here, and as you hover over it, it tells you how many slots are left on a daily basis. So you can click right on the day that you want to volunteer. And here are all the events. And all you do is you click on one of those events, and to sign up, you just click on attend event, and it's as easy as that, all set.
For emergency pickup, it runs a little differently. In case of a food pickup,
Any volunteer within a 4-mile radius of where the food is being donated will get a text saying, we have food to donate, can you pick it up? Our volunteers then have the option to claim or ignore the pickup.
what are these foods donated to Food Insecure? There are criteria when it comes to successful food donation.
Food safety is important to us, so we want to make sure that the food is fresh, that if it's frozen, it stays frozen the whole time it comes into our facility, and we're putting it directly in the freezer. And if it's refrigerated food, that it's within its expiration date, and that it's fresh to the smell and fresh to sight.
Western Waterfront Hotel is an example of an emergency food pickup. The Breakaway Carrier is one of the largest delivery companies serving the greater Boston. Today, they are here to pick up an emergency food donation from the Western Waterfront Hotel to Rosie's Place, a shelter for women.
So we have the box lunches from yesterday. This is a typical box lunch. We have a bag of potato chips, pasta salad, a cookie, and a roast beef and cheddar sandwich. All fresh, all less than 24 hours old. So box lunches, anytime we have anything left over, the guests don't claim it, we donate it all. And it's great for Rosie's Place too, because they love to individually wrap things in their pantry.
It's a good concept they have, which is they find the person or the organization going to donate the food, and then they find the place close to it to deliver to them. So each time the distance is not that far, so it's easy to do this kind of deliveries. So let's start. So now we're going to Rosie Place to donate the food that we just picked up from the Western. The distance is not that too far. I know we're gonna hit some traffic, especially on Harrison Ave. It's about 2.5 miles away from the Western. You see a homeless man in the cold, you know, in the richest country in the world, and he's looking for food and he's looking for money, you know. It's an older guy. I feel bad for this guy here, really. I see them all the time because I drive around the city and I see all this. Him bring this food inside. Thank you.
Rosie's Place has been in existence since 1974, and our very first day we served a meal, and that is still the signature service of Rosie's Place this 43 years later. Our food program has certainly grown. We serve 104,000 meals a year to women and their children. We also see another 1,900 women a month in our food pantry. So when we can have a food rescue service come and bring us good quality food that we can serve to our guests either in the meals we prepare or in our pantry or to the women staying in our overnight shelter, it really does make a difference. Thank you. Nothing. No, I don't think so.
When you meet a restaurant owner or somebody who works in a hotel in the food service, what's the first thing you tell them? How do you engage them? And what are their questions? What are the frequent questions you hear from them?
The first thing I say to them is the incredible need to use their nutritious food for the local food insecure people who can use it. That is the message that we really want to get across. Then the message that I get across with, on behalf of Rescuing Leftover Cuisine is that we are an extending hand to the local nonprofits. We want Boston Rescue Mission to have this food. We want Rosie's Place to have this food. We want the Huntington YMCA to have this food. We are the people who can get that food to them, because often they are short-staffed and unable to actually get that food, although they have quite a population of people who need this food.
Who are these people in America in need of food aid today? According to Feed America, millions of people are still struggling to get by because of underemployment, stagnant wages, and rising cost of living. In fact, more than 46 million people still turn to Feeding America Network each year for extra help.
The food insecure person today, it is the person who is having mental issues or addiction, and those people are suffering and they need our help. It's also the people who are working every day to support their families, but unable to always make ends meet. And this food is helping those people as well. It's helping everybody. We all need to have a much clearer and open-minded vision of who the food insecure person is.
So we are going to be rescuing from, most of the food is salads and sandwiches. So it's just as simple as grabbing these and all these delicious, healthy salads, throwing them in the bag. I just want to say we just really want to thank Pret for donating all of this food to the shelters and to people in need. I mean, this is really incredible that Pret as an organization does this. And obviously, I think Dana had mentioned this as well, but we could not do this without our volunteers. And they're the ones who make this possible.
St. Francis House is a day shelter, so people who are sleeping in night shelters will come here during the day. And we offer refuge and pathways out of homelessness. The refuge piece is critical in that people need to come here during the day to get their human needs met. That's food, clothing, shelter. In addition to that, we have a lot of programs that help people get their way out of homelessness and into stability. But the food that is brought to us through Pret is really important. We're open from 6:30 in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We serve 700 meals a day. That's a day. That's breakfast and lunch. And the food that comes from Pret augments the food that we need to pay for. We have a budget of $200,000 a year for food, and we would not be able to offer these amazing salads that we're able to serve every day that Pret brings. We would not be able to give individuals a sandwich at 3 o'clock to take with them to hold them over because they are not getting another meal until either the next day or later that evening.
Apart from doing a noble thing, there are great financial incentives to food businesses choosing to donate their surplus foods instead of wasting them.
Just as of a few years ago, there are enhanced tax benefits. So it's actually going to save businesses money by donating surplus prepared food to your local nonprofits using Rescuing Leftover Cuisine. Rescuing Leftover Cuisine, we're able to then provide the documentation needed for their tax records. So all the business has to do is hand over that information to their accountant, and they will be able to get the enhanced tax benefits.
Rescuing Leftover Cuisine has been hard at work growing their Massachusetts branch, starting with Greater Boston. And even though the company is looking to recruit more and more restaurants and food industries into participating, the #1 goal at the moment is recruiting volunteers.
Our goal is to have at least 1,000 throughout Massachusetts. And I'd like to say at least 25% in Boston. We really need to grow the Boston area, the greater Boston area, and all of Massachusetts. Anybody can help. Yes, it is important for our incredible nonprofit organizations like Love and Spoonfuls to rescue those, all that fresh, nutritious food from our local grocery stores, et cetera. But it's also important to keep in mind the quality, nutritious, prepared food that is going to waste, but it doesn't need to be wasted. Rescuing leftover cuisine can make it so it's not wasted with your help, with the support of the community, with the support of the local businesses who are willing to partake, and really help us change our whole thought process about food donation and take food donation in Massachusetts to the next level. One thing that I would like to point out is the importance for courier services, limo services, taxi services. We need you. Do you deliver food? We need you. We really want to make this a community effort. We're starting in Boston, but we're spreading out all throughout Massachusetts. So if you're in Wareham, if you are anywhere on the Cape, Worcester, Springfield, Attleboro, no matter where you are in Massachusetts, we need your support. We need volunteers to make this happen.
So get up from the sidelines and start taking action today. Join the many who have said no to food wasting.
I will absolutely continue to do it in the future. It's worked out really well for us so far. We've donated over 1,500 pounds of food, and we've fed a lot of people with that food. We've donated in such a short amount of time. So I'm absolutely looking forward to doing it in the future.
Oh, the need is always there. As I said, we serve 120 or so guests a day, but we have to limit our guests to coming once per month. And that's just because of availability of donations.
For more information on how you can become a donor or a volunteer, please visit Rescuing Leftover Cuisine Massachusetts page online and see how you can stop food wasting, how you can end hunger today.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us this morning. We are broadcasting live from a WCTV studio. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather, traffic, and more information. And now for a moment in history, let's take a look at where we were today in history. Okay, on this day in American history, the Mayflower landed in Plymouth Harbor in 1620. This will become the group's first main settlement as they started building their village in a clearing that a Wampanoag tribe had left. The Pilgrims barely survived their first winter, with nearly half of the 102 original members dying by springtime. Many of the Pilgrims went back to England in 1621, bringing more and more people to the New World. On this day in freedom history, the 13th Amendment was ratified in 1865. Alabama, a member of the Confederacy just months prior, was the state that pushed it over the edge, giving the amendment the 3/4 majority needed to pass. Though slavery was abolished, Black Americans were not fully integrated into society for another 100 years, with the civil rights movement pushing for equal rights and desegregation. Nevertheless, to say the 13th Amendment was a very important amendment. On this day in holiday history, the Nutcracker suite first premiered in 1892, penned by composer Peter Tchaikovsky. The ballet first premiered in St. Petersburg and has been remade a countless number of times. Its iconic songs are played a lot during the holiday season, and they have been there for generations. And for today's birthday, shout out goes to Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg. The director and producer was born in Ohio in 1946, and he has been involved in some of the most iconic films of all time, including E.T., Close Encounters, Jaws, and Indiana Jones. And that is all for this morning history segment. To learn more cool historical facts, you can go online on thehistory.com. Stay with us. The coffee segment is next. We got the Grinch in the studio who is going to steal this Christmas. Anyhow, stay with us.
Today's cell phones are not only an extension of our arms, but a life tool. Hello, I am Maureen Farrington from Advantage Custom Apps. I am here today to talk about a certain app, a tool that will help you navigate your way through the Wareham community. The WCTV app places your local community in the palm of your hand. The app is a place where you will find local events, town meetings, local and school sports, community interest stories, compelling interviews, and most of all, the ability to shop local. Connect to the Wareham app by going to your web browser and typing in wctv.app. And then, once you bring up the web link, you have the opportunity of adding WCTV's app to your home screen. Once you download the app and save it to your home screen, you will then have the opportunity to, with the touch of a finger, hit the call button, which we call WCTV, the refer us button. You can refer the app to your friends and families. There's a Facebook share button if you'd like to put that on your Facebook page as well. And here is the menu tab. On the menu tab, we have YouTube videos, new program proposal, events that WCTV is hosting, a photo gallery, contact button, and can lead you right to their website. We also have a Shop Local tab. When you touch on that, you'll see the local businesses that you can frequent. Also, there's an About Us tab telling you some information about WCTV, their hours and directions. This here will take you right to their Facebook page. There is a donate button if you would like to donate to WCTV, and a join button that will let you join their community. Many local establishments are listing their business on the WCTV app. And you can too. It's a great way to showcase your business to your existing customers and your potential new ones. For a nominal fee, you could list your business on the Shop Local tab as well. A percentage of that fee goes to fund a scholarship for an outgoing senior. So be in the now and get the WCTV app on your home screen.
Now it is the coffee segment. With me, as promised, is the Grinch, who later on is going to change the costume and put in another costume for something, his professional work, which is cracking bones. I like to call it breaking bones. Bob likes to call it adjusting bones. Anyhow, the Grinch will be able to better explain what he does. Underneath, behind that mask is Team Houdincia. Team Houdincia is behind that mask. Team was here last Saturday when we were doing pictures with Santa. And those actually came to Echo Elizabeth and Company home offerings to take some pictures with people there shopping. So it was a great deal seeing the Grinch. Normally you would like to see the other guy, his brother, Santa Claus, but we got the Grinch. Anyhow, so right now, since we got to see the Grinch, this is just a little something for you because I like you so much. Give us 30 seconds and we'll be back with the guy who breaks the bones. things that Tim loves to do, juggling. And I was asking him whether he juggles while riding the tricycle. And he says, no, you have to pick one. So, ooh! There goes Bob. Wondering if his head is short. Anyhow, so welcome.
Thank you.
You are a new resident in our town.
Yes.
You just moved here when?
This past summer, June.
June, you moved to Wareham because of?
The water.
The water.
Yeah.
There are plenty of places with water.
The ocean.
The ocean.
Buzzards Bay. There's only one Buzzards Bay.
So you decided to come here?
Yes.
Any family ties, friends around this region?
Shall I make something up? No.
No. Well, you found plenty, since the last time I met you on Saturday. So you are a man of many talents.
Thank you.
And this, we narrowed down, it was due to the love of learning. Something that you found out later on in your life. You weren't always so passionate about learning. So I think we could start there. We could talk about how you found love of learning and how it has transformed your life.
Sure. So how many hours do we have?
About 17, I guess.
So when I was a child, I didn't like to read. I did anything but, and I read books on like Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth and Daniel Boone only because I had to. I was forced to by my teacher, but otherwise I wanted to be out playing baseball and throwing rocks and hitting rocks with a baseball bat, and that continued on. When I went to college, I got my bachelor's degree, but I wasn't very interested in getting a degree. I was more interested in playing ultimate frisbee and riding my bike. And then I was working in Burlington, Vermont in retail, and in retail, an outdoor sporting goods store, I really started to develop quite a fondness for teaching. And I think through my early 20s into my later 20s, I started to realize, perhaps subconsciously, not consciously, I started to realize that to be a really good teacher, you need education, you need to be informed, you need knowledge, you need a knowledge base. And I felt at that point in my life I didn't have much of a knowledge base. And so I pretty much threw myself into the fire in applying to and going to chiropractic college when I was 28, when I was 28 years old. And I was extremely afraid of failing because I had never, in undergrad, I didn't apply myself as a student. I was so afraid of failing. I went there, but I decided, you know what, if I fail, so I spent $5,000, which I had saved more than that, and I said, if I fail, all right, so then I'll go to plan B, or I'll figure out what plan B is. So fear drove me into school in college, chiropractic college, and through my first semester, and I got straight A's, and I went on and was propelled by learning and how gratifying it is to learn, to become knowledgeable on this subject or that subject. And I graduated valedictorian, which not in a million years did I think I had that ability, but I found that ability. And in finding that ability and developing this fondness for acquiring knowledge, it just propelled from there. So after chiropractic college, I learned how to juggle, and then from there I wanted to learn how to ride the unicycle, and now stand-up paddleboarding is something that I'm working on, and I love, and I'm somewhat creative. I'm not sure if you can tell from from us being together so far, but I did not know this about myself at all, even 10 years ago, but now I love to write, and so I'm working on writing, and I wrote a fictional novel, and now I'm in the process of editing and getting it ready to hopefully find a publisher somewhere.
Very nice.
So
all of this started with the fear that propelled you to go forward, propelled you to stay, to stand with the track, learning, and before you know it, it was no longer fear, it was the love.
Yes.
That's
Exactly, yeah.
okay, wonderful. So here you are today, and when we met, and you were telling me all the list of the things that you do, then you mentioned you're a chiropractor. And I said, oh, you're the guy who breaks bones. And what did you say?
I said, you don't know what you're talking about.
No, I do not break bones. I want to set that straight.
If I did that, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in jail or somewhere.
Okay, so tell me about how this work, your professional work that you went to school for, how it fits in with your creativity side.
Well, you just stumped me. I have to say, because I think my creative side is flourishing, but then this scientific analytical part of me, which is the chiropractic self, that's also excited and having fun, but they're really pretty separate. There isn't a lot of blending, or if that makes sense.
All right.
Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. So are you practicing around here?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, okay.
I lived in Rhode Island, and so I've been practicing there for most of 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. Are you thinking of moving your practice this side?
I am, because right now I'm in quite a state of transition, and I'm figuring out. I'm 52 years old. Can I say that?
Yeah.
And
you're proud of it.
I'm figuring out what I want to do and what I want to be when I grow up. So.
Wow! So you're still challenging yourself in that sense?
Yeah, actually, I am. This winter, because I'm in this state of transition, so I'm working part-time in Rhode Island.
Okay.
I can't tell you the whole story because we don't have time, but right now I'm working on getting my U.S. Coast Guard captain's license.
You were saying this, so
yes.
And actually, you said it means that you will have to move for some time, right? It's 6 months away.
Yes, I need a bit more time on the water, documented time on the water, to be able to have my license and start part-time work with hopefully. I'm not going to count my chickens, but hopefully with Towboat US here in the Buzzards Bay area, start working April 15th. And this all sort of happened quickly, so I need to be in, it's looking like Sarasota, Florida for most of January and February.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, I mean, do you have a vision, apart from just the love of learning and you want to try out what is out there? Do you have a vision to what you want to end up? Like one day somebody has to write a biography about you. Like what should be the title? What this person should be? I mean, do you have a limit, a goal? Like, okay, I've done this, but I want to get to this point now.
It's really interesting that you ask that, because when I graduated chiropractic college, I was valedictorian. I had to give a speech. There was still tons of fear in me at that point. But I gave a speech, and the end of my speech, I asked everyone to close their eyes. Imagine it's 30, 40, 50, 60 years down the road. You're 80, 85 years old. You're sitting in your living room next to a cozy fire. You're looking back on your life. What is it that you're looking back on that allows you to, when you're there, you're looking back, and what would allow you to feel really good and content and comfortable with what you did, who you are, where you went, and where you are at that point. So for me, it's ever since working at the Ski Rack retail in Burlington, Vermont. For me, it's giving people something that helps them, that takes them to another level of knowing, or another, it helps to inspire or motivate them. So I think that's the big thing that from within drove me to write, and to write a novel, because my novel, I hope, for many millions of people, we can hope, right? That it's inspiring, that it gives them something that helps them to move forward in some way.
Wouldn't a biography be a best fit as opposed to novel?
You know, there are so many really interesting and cool people out there.
Are you saying you are not unbelievable? Look at everything you've done and
well,
everything you're planning to do.
I think on the grand scale of things, you know, folks that are defending our country overseas and doing things that I could never imagine having the courage, the guts to do. I think on the grand scale of things, you know, I might be a little bit boring for that at this point, but maybe when I'm 80 years old, I'll be ready to write my biography.
Oh my goodness. You know what is refreshing about you? Normally, and even sometimes, Bob and I were talking, I mean, I'm young compared to Bob, but we would, you know, I said to him that I feel like I've wasted so much time. Or maybe when I measure myself to my peers, I say, you know, what happened to me? Where was I? What did I do? And whether do you have time to catch up, right? Because you get to a point and you feel like you cannot reinvent yourself. You have to assume a certain role and you have to keep playing that role. You, at the age of 28, you said, okay, let me try this. And from there, I just spiraled on. And you're still thinking, you still have that mindset. So to you, it's not like you're done, you're there. No, it's like, what's next, what's next? And I think that is very refreshing and inspiring, that it doesn't matter what age you are in, as long as you're dreaming, you still want to challenge yourself. Life is exciting.
And I would add to what you said, it's selfish, because I believe I've gotten to know myself, and I know that that's what allows me to feel fed and nourished. But it's not easy, and it's scary. When you have a job and you have a steady income and you're in a stable place, that's a really good place to be. And I think for a lot of people, that's a place that it's just not a place they want to move away from. Maybe because, like you said, I was for many years of my life, I was saying to myself, you know, I've wasted, you know, through my teens, 20s, I've wasted time, I've wasted years. You know, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So maybe I'm lucky and unlucky in that I took a long time to look and search, and I guess maybe I fell somewhat in love with this process of looking and searching and finding some other part of myself that I didn't even know was there.
You know what, as something else that resonates with your story is timing.
Yeah.
Because most of us, after high school, we are pushed to go to college. We find ourselves there. We know that we'll be measured due to how much schooling or degrees that we have. So I have a bachelor's degree. And I'm okay with it. I'm not a big on school. Like, you know, I'm happy that I went and I did my time and I'm out. But then there's always this concept of, should I go to get my master's or this and that? But it's all about timing. Yeah. Right now, master's or PhD, it doesn't mean much, but because maybe I don't have the need for it at the moment. With you at 28, I think something sparked. And it was the right time for you to decide and to commit yourself. So timing is a big issue when we're looking at how people can reinvent themselves and move on. So what advice do you have for the young ones and those, your peers? What advice do you have? What do you tell them when you're looking at fears? You were there before.
You know, it's really easy to complicate things, and you know, there are 100, 200 things I'd like to tell people, like young and old. But in the spirit of trying to keep it very simple, I would say there are things within you that you're not aware of, that you don't know, and you will surprise yourself if you look and work at getting to know yourself and testing your limits and abilities and potential. You will find things that you did not know were there, and they will surprise you, and they will put a great big smile on your face, and sometimes make you cry. I feel like now getting a little teared up.
What was something that surprised you?
I didn't know I had such a capacity to learn. I thought when I went to a very competitive undergraduate college, Union College, and man, those kids made me feel, I'm sorry, at the moment, at that time, those kids made me feel pretty dumb. I mean, they were really smart. And at the time, I was like, I wasn't born with that. Goodness gracious, I'm going to go ride my bike. But then I discovered that was within me. I didn't know it when I was 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, wonderful. Oh my goodness, you need to write that biography. You know, yes, you're doing a novel right now, but you have plenty to share.
Can I interject?
Yes.
I don't know how much time we have left, but before we run out of time,
yeah.
Am I allowed to ask any questions, or is this just a one-way?
How many minutes do I have? I have 3 minutes. Okay, you can pick one question.
Only one?
One question.
All right. Are you really a queen?
In the sense of a name. I wish the name came with the bank account and yes, some funding. But just in the sense of a name, my mom, who knows what was going through her head when she gave birth to me. I was a very ugly baby, so I don't know what happened to her. I think she was hoping that one day, but yeah, in the sense of a name.
Okay.
Hopefully one day I can have a crown.
Yeah, I learned something new. That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. So, all right, do you want to give a shout out to where you practice so people who are watching you, they're like, yes, I want that guy to be my doctor. Where could they find you?
I did not give that a moment of thought. But of course, to all of my family and friends.
Okay.
I suppose I don't know if this is necessarily advice for folks, but as I got into my later 20s and then into my 30s, and I was reflecting, I realized that I was only a sum of the parts. I was only a sum of the people and the energy that they invested in me, and I think that's also helped me to see the value and importance in giving back and helping people discover themselves. Because my high school cross country and track coach, Charlie Carker, I'll start there. He invested a lot in me, and then along the way, many folks. And without those folks, Mark Lowenstein, Dr. Mark Lowenstein in Colorado Springs, Zandy Wheeler in Burlington, Vermont. These people are me. I mean, they gave a part of themselves, their mind, their heart, and then it accumulated and accumulated, and here I am sitting today. But I'm just a sum of them, or a part of them.
Very good. I am so happy, so thrilled, very honored to have you as a guest this morning.
Thank you.
You are quite the character, and I'm happy that you have moved into Wareham, so we'll be seeing a lot of you. And when the weather turns better, hopefully we'll have you on your tricycle outside in the spring.
Yes, actually, I don't own a tricycle, but I'll ride my unicycle.
Oh, unicycle. Sorry, I keep saying tricycle. Unicycle. Okay, so with that, thank you so much for joining us this morning for another Good Morning Wareham show. My guest was Team Hudiencia.
Hudiencia, yes.
Hudiencia, okay. And if you missed us, this particular show will air this evening at 6 p.m. We'll also go on our YouTube channel, Wareham Community Television on YouTube. I'll be back here on Friday with plenty. So join us on Friday. Bye, Wareham.